you better believe it. Footy's back. That's right. G'day, I'm Adam Papali. No, I'm not a play-by-play commentator from out west. I'm Jaymz Clements. And this is the AFL Today show, your new favourite one-stop shop for the greatest game in the world. Aussie rules footy, that's right. Joining me for this, oh my God, bloody round one is done. Rap show of AFL Today. That's right. It's local weirdos, full-blown footy nuffs, AFL experts, some might call them. We have the stats guy, McAllion, fresh off a pretty hearty St. Paddy's Day, no doubt, with he and his family. Stats guy, what's going on?
Oh, I wish I had a big St. Paddy's Day, but yeah, loving it. Wish Adam Papali was on here. That'd be a good little guest. Got my North top on, being a bit of a nuff as usual.
Classic. And we've also got Donnelly looking like he's actually an 1860s bushranger who's about to pull over some sort of stage carriage. So what's going on, Alex?
Yeah, well, look, there was a fox running loose in my street over the weekend, so I'm just going to get my gun and try and shoot it and yell at it to stay off my lawn, all that jazz. But how good's footy? How good is footy?
How good?
See, I don't know if you're actually making a joke about the fox, but it does look like you probably are the sort of dude who owns jodhpurs. So
was it right?
Ironically, my dad trained a horse called Jodhpur, so...
Oh.
I don't think that's ironic, but either way. Settle down there, Alanis Morissette. This is AFL Today. Of course, you can subscribe to this show on YouTube, and you can follow AFL Today across all the socials and get around this show, of course, where you get all your podcasts. This is, the reason why we're doing this on a Sunday night is that so you get it first thing Monday, or even if you're just really desperate to jump all over the top of it and hang out and party hard on a Sunday evening and listen to a massive, massive round one recap. That's what we do here at AFL Today. Yeah. But more importantly, footy is back, and how it is back. We'll start this show with a quick look. This weekend has had it all. We've had really basically one-kick games. We've had three of them at least. We've had a couple of blowouts as we kind of expected, but at least there are a couple that we saw, and I think this is the most important part for the likes of North and West Coast, right? We saw a little bit of something, which is kind of nice. Yeah. We've also got some question marks around some grand finalists, I'll tell you that. Speaking of which, though, I don't know if we want to land right into the old vent sesh, but we just might leave this in quick look. I'll say it. Collingwood, they are the first reigning premier in AFL history to be 0-2 after round one of an AFL season.
Great call.
Congratulations to Collingwood for making history once again. Shame it's the history that no one wants.
They looked disinterested on Friday. That was horrible.
Yeah, it was great.
Flip side, though, I love the Carlton were the first team in AFL history to be 2-0.
Yeah.
Round one.
After round one.
It's pretty good. Yeah. But either way, I'll say it. Are we sure Collingwood's good? It's right there. It's low-hanging fruit. This is great. The best part is no one's going to ask this all week. No one, Alex. No one, stats guy. No one's going to bring this up. No one's even going to talk about it because who really cares? No, of course, everyone's going to be banging on about how real is the premiership hangover. Oh, premiership hangover is real. Oh, they real. It's like, I'll tell you what, I've had some pretty hefty hangovers in my time. Jeez, Jim, really? It's like, yes.
They lasted more than 2 games as well, I reckon.
Exactly. And I've never won a premiership. So not of AFL footy, at least. If you have to take it back to country Victorian tennis in the late 90s, maybe. But even then, still the hangovers are pretty bad. But either way, we get to ask this all the way through Thursday again. They are 0-2. Their forward-line is a mess. The funniest thing in the world is they desperately need a dude named Jack Ginnivan. But most importantly, I think for me, is that not only Pies fans will be disappointed by how bad their team has been, but how slow they've looked as well. Everybody else is probably going to be bummed out because remember the biggest thing about AFL last year was that, the best part about the AFL this year is that everybody enjoys watching Collingwood, even opposing fans. No, we didn't. We were just acting up. Come on. When you can't score like this, you look horrible and it sucks. And now they're high-fiving each other in the middle of a play and they're getting ragdolled for it because they're disinterested. They don't care. Gary Lyon is disgusted. It's great. Either way. So my favourite thing, though, this is it. Right. This actually leads into Vent Sesh because I think in what we saw Sydney demolish Collingwood on Friday night, the coolest part about that was it put certain commentators back in their box pretty quickly. There was very, very little talk of, how many points they need to be down to come back by on Friday, I'll tell you. So
I wanted to ask that because obviously not being at the ground, I nearly texted our group chat, 10 minutes into the fourth quarter asking if BT's called for the comeback as of yet.
He's steered clear of it, and that was kind of fun. So, Vent Sesh, Let's do it, Van Sesh. Do you want umps or do you want commentators? Because we can go. But it's AFL bingo at this point, boys. I love every second of this part because it's like we'll just spin the wheel. It's like which one do you want me to start yelling about? We can also talk about Tasmania right off the bat. We can talk about should we turn the grand final into a 3-game series? It doesn't matter. Spin the bingo wheel.
Shut that out of your mouth.
But commentators, I think, was the one. Look, umps were a big thing during the Carlton-Richmond game. We saw a couple of weird goal line calls. Goal line calls are a massive thing as well in Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs. Was it 5 straight in like a quarter? I'm just like, dudes, can we just call it? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But there were 2 or 3 instances, I think, over the weekend where a player on the boundary line basically had the ball while they were buying a beer. Like they weren't still on the ground. They're like, I've got the ball. Can I also I'll just get a quick tin. Is this great? Yeah. Let's go. Why the umpire hasn't realised I'm not off the field yet. I better snag this to my mate. Luckily, look, Carlton did pull out the win in the end. A couple of egregious moments
there. West Coast Port game.
Exactly. So, look, the umps, I think they're easy targets a lot of the time. I think they do a pretty good job. But there is weird sort of simple stuff that you're like, what are we all doing here? Seriously, what are we all doing here?
Tom Lynch, the game that he had wasn't great. It looked a lot better on the stat sheet because of the umpires as well. He had a few soft ones there early, and I got a lot of Carlton mates just going, what the hell was going on there?
There was a Nick Dacos one where the commentary box just fell completely silent because they didn't want to rag on the umps that badly. It was hilarious.
Nick Dacos got tackled perfectly and then decided to lean his neck back and upwards, and it was given a free kick. And then there was also
those ones,
Jordan De Goey had about, he didn't run 100 metres, but let's say it was 100 metres, and got tackled perfectly by Jaymz Rowbottom. Yet wasn't called holding the ball.
That was bad,
Got a goal like 3 seconds later. It was totally fine. Doesn't matter for the result, but those decisions are bread and butter, and I feel like the umpires have missed some very bread and butter decisions and then given away some very contentious ones early days.
Our phrase here is that was a Barry Crocker shocker. All right. So the actual event sesh, though, as commentators, do we need ex-players as commentators, gentlemen? It is brutal. There is an absolute just brutal aspect to this. And I don't know did we have commentators that, like, there was an absolute dog's breakfast over the weekend. There was the Darcy-led lineup that I did not like at all.
That was the Saturday night lineup that I text is the worst quartet of commentators that any media group could have pulled together.
Like, I don't really want to sort of rag on specific commentators, but I feel like at this juncture we have a really, really good raft of play-by-play special comments and stuff. Yep. It seems weird that we struggle to get the mix right. And get it so badly. On one hand, you've got God bless his cotton socks, but I'm not entirely convinced anyone has ever met Joel Selwood and you went, you know what he'd be great at? Media stuff. Now there's a media performer. He kept me engaged for more than 2 seconds. Not a chance.
No. His voice is very monotone. It's some of the things he was saying weren't great, but if someone else said it a bit more, I don't know, you, Jaymz, for example, you're up and about all the time. Just a bit of gusto. He's just very monotone, isn't he?
Last night, when Dangerfield kicks the winner with like a minute to go, he's like, you can tell he really wanted that. No, really? He's kicked the winner in the first game of the season. Of course he wants that.
That's the same as captain's goal. It's just a goal, mate. I always say captain's goal.
I think what Alex is trying to make the point there, it's like, of course they wanted a goal, just full stop. If he wanted to kick it, it's like, that's to put the game away. What are you talking about, of course?
7 points up with like a minute to go.
But honestly, I think a lot of this is to do with I don't mind panel shows where we've got an absolute plethora of ex-footballers because that at least gives you like a bit of a chance to sit back, analyze what you've seen, talk about what you've seen, maybe related to some experience that you've had that you can easily talk about. That's vaguely interesting. In the actual moment, though, you've got a dour, angry ex-Hawthorn captain. You've got just a bloke who's very clearly had a lot of CTE go on. There's just even BT and Richo's shtick, which, to be honest, a lot of fans have a lot of problems with, and you can see why. I tend to find that it's kind of funny and kind of cute, but by the same token, sometimes we should ask just a little bit more from our commentators, shouldn't we? Well, that's all I want. That's all I want.
Like, how many kicks has Isaac Heaney had? And Richo's like, I didn't know how many kicks I have. How should I know what Heaney's had? It's like, well, you're in a commentary box, and there's a statistician probably
Next
sitting
to you.
underneath your left. Like, just hand me the thing, or check the AFL app on your phone. Like, either or it works.
Yeah,
like,
nice.
Or just say a lot, Brian, a lot.
It's a few. It's a few.
Yeah, it's a few.
It's a classic. I don't know. This is just like a little bit of podcasting 101. Yes, and like just don't sit there. Like it's not hard. Yes, Brian, he's had a lot. And I'll tell you what, he could probably get some more. Anyway, all right, let's do it. Let's do some game wraps, though. Throw it back. Wop, 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 wop. That's right, the throwback to Thursday. God, it feels like an age ago. But we talked about this last week. There is nothing better than winning early in a round and then just going,
you're happy the whole round. Yeah.
well, this is awesome because none of this matters to me. I loved it. So the Blues Thursday night sucked. They win at 86-81. It was a rip-roaring affair where it just goes back and forth.
It was a great game,
back and forth. We've got, I think I saw the numbers. It was roughly 87 million lead changes across the game. So
roughly. Give or take a couple mil, yeah.
It was ridiculous. And look, this is what Carlton's fifth or sixth game where we've won by less than a goal. And I swear, if this continues, like your mate Jim's just going to be in the ground by round 6. Like, thank God we're going to buy. Like my cardiologist is like messaging me going, Jim, there's a buy this week, right? I'm like, yes. He's like, good. Come in. We need some baseline because you're up here the entire time, buddy. So how was this one? One, Harry McAllion kick straight again, which is absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
The Blues mitigated a lot of the sort of, I don't know, the defensive run that the Tigers were able to put together time and time again really hurt the Blues. It actually happened last week, obviously, against the Lions, and that'll be a big sort of focus for them where just those defensive strings and kicking goals from defensive 50, like it is brutal to watch. And you're like, yeah, it's like your defensive structures aren't right yet.
Yeah.
And that let them stay in the game. And it's
no
something Carlton.
So
exactly. It's a patchwork sort of defense at the moment. You had Lewis Young go off as well with a quick injury, but he sort of came back.
He's all right, I think.
The Tigers were 3 men down, and the Blues finally sort of just dragged them back in that fourth quarter when they went from what? I think it got out to, it was 9 points down. I think they got 8 points up.
Yeah.
And it was like this sort of 3-goal sort of turnaround out of nowhere. And you're like, that's just tired legs from the Tigers, right? Like they sort of just losing Gibcus. Who are the other two dudes they lost off the top of my head? I can't remember. But
Prestia, because
Prestia
obviously, multi, but that's another story.
Prestia, Pinga, Hammy, and Young. And it's just, it was just really, really tough for the Tigers to sort of keep up. You sort of Dusty have a big impact early and then sort of fade off again. Nank was pretty gassed by the end of it. DeConing stepped up, was massive for the Blues. Yeah, and that was kind of like the story for Carlton. Like the forwards, like DeConing, there was like a bit of a janky 50-meter penalty that he got where it's like an extra couple of meters, but by the same token, he booted at 60, so it didn't matter. But Harry McAllion straight, Charlie Curnow got Heath Shord, Nick Rewalded, whichever way you want to go. That was brutal because that could have basically sealed it. Yeah,
that was so dumb,
Boyd missing a shot as well that basically could have sealed it very soon after. So basically Carlton put their fans through the ringer, but they came out with the win. And sometimes, look, this is a thing that Collingwood obviously did for the last couple of years. If you just win some of those games, God, it gives you belief that you can keep doing it, right? So, look, Blues are awesome. Richmond, they were way better than pretty much everyone expected. Look, every Carlton fan I knew was nervous about this game anyway. That was exactly why. So, Tom Lynch came back, had a big moment early, but did very little else otherwise. A couple of moments late on, but yeah. There you go. Good win by the Blues. Friday. This was a game that you guys were both at, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
So take us through it. But you're the Swans fan, Alex, so break it down. The Swans go out and win 102.
2-0.
102.
But just the starting points, obviously, Collingwood. This could have easily been a 10-goal loss, and they looked way off it. Easily their worst loss under McRae. I think they looked slow. They honestly looked slow and just didn't handle the pressure that the Swans poured on from the start. The Swans had kicked 1 goal 6 at one point to 2 goals straight from 2 entries from Collingwood. It was just brutal. Look, Nick Dacos was great. You've got to give him some credit, but he doesn't run both ways, and neither does Jordan De Goey, which doesn't help. The defensive issues for Collingwood are just ridiculous. Like you saw Darcy Moore give Logan McDonald 5 or 6 meters many times.
Their press was too high. Yeah, it was weird.
Well, it's 2 weeks in a row that Darcy Moore's played off and he's had 9 goals kicked on him. It just shows how important Murphy is to their side. But the biggest issue was the little smart-ass kicks and handballs that didn't come off. They conceded 78 points from turnover. Just like Swans like,
that stat screamed out to me the entire game. It's like they kept turning the ball over and Sydney just kept making them pay for it, which is something that Collingwood could sort of skate through there. Like for me, it's like the same thing as the Golden State Warriors would in their pomp, right? You could turn the ball over an absolute crap ton. Doesn't matter. We're just still going to beat you offensively and like, we're going to grind you down. And when it does get to a point where you're just like, oh, God, we can't actually stop this, then it gets ugly real quick, and that's what happened, right?
And that's what it was, because then when they got it to the forward line, Johnson and Myercheck were nowhere near it. Like, Johnson's going to be playing VFL, potentially
He's
VFA
horrible.
next week. He was horrendous. Like, put the poor bugger out of his misery by dragging him and subbing him. It was just horrendous. But then you've got to say for Collingwood, where is their depth? Who's going to come in and change this? And it's like
Johnny Noble, get him in.
John Noble, literally John Noble and Sidney Prey, like the cult hero. But it's like you go to the Swans. On the flip side, it's like how are Callum Mills, Luke Parker, and Taylor Adams going to fit into this squad? Like Isaac Heaney's probably on 6 votes at the moment. I need to get off the hill that
Warner's up there though. Yeah,
he is a midfielder, not a forward. I was completely wrong on that. I've got to really step back on that. But just the pressure from him, Rowbottom, Chunley, Errol, Justin McInerney. Everyone's had a full preseason. They're fit. They're running. And they just took the game on and like, that's cute. We're going to punch you in the mouth and destroy you. You couldn't find a bad player for the Swans. Like Jaymz Rowbottom, 13 tackles, had 9 at halftime, was ridiculous.
Crazy.
I can't talk up enough how good the Swans were. Everything sort of worked out. They probably could have kicked straighter. That's probably the only thing. Chunley Warner with 27 and 3. Logan McDonald, 4 goals. Marty and McLean had a couple each. Like everything just tick, tick, tick all around.
I'll tell you what wasn't a tick is Chunley Warner's new haircut.
But he's wearing the Nike TMs, so it works.
The TNs, Even Petrarca, if you have to play well in those boots, and he did. Right. But his haircut was very average, very average.
Oh yeah, it's horrendous. I said it during the first game. My girlfriend's mother was like, "I hate his haircut." I was like, "I agree."
I've never been more disappointed.
You know, if anyone here who's listening to this has listened to football today, I'm very passionate about players never changing hairstyles like drastically. Bobby Hill with the gold hair. If I'm Craig McRae, I'm done. Bob, come in. Clippers, shaving it off.
The Norm Smith has gone to crap since he's had that.
He did it for this week. He had 1 goal and then didn't get near it for the rest of the game. Bukayo Saka for Arsenal did it over Christmas. Arsenal lost 3 games in a row. He changed his hair back. Arsenal have lost 1 game since. Proof's in the pudding. Don't change your hair because you look like a knob.
See, all these analysts during the week on all the other channels are going to be saying, it's all this, the game plan of things, just needs to change his hair and Collingwood would be fine.
Shave the head, shave the lid, bring it back. Swans 2-0, Essendon next week, which should be 3-0. But the big worry is Pies play Saints on Thursday night at the G. With Ross going, go to sleep. But they be 0-3. Do we say season over at 0-3?
I don't think we can say season over.
Jeez.
But I mean, to be fair, it would be. So, right, let's do it. Saturday. Well, all right. So what they actually ended up, 69-102. That is just hilarious.
They kicked 3 goals in the last 10 minutes where the Swans
sort of stopped,
Yeah. Like Melican, Papley and Chunley were off for the last 15 minutes. So, yeah.
Nice one. Saturday, we went to the G. We had Essendon 107 over Hawthorn 84. Oh, it was a courageous Hawthorn team. A courageous Hawthorn team that was up in the 3rd quarter. Thank you very much.
Probably. Oh.
Should have probably won. They were right there and then sort of just cooked it down the stretch. How did you sort of see this game, Stats Guy? Did you want to jump into this one and then talk about your North Melbourne one? What do you think?
Sure. I watched this game. I was just really surprised. Essendon, bit lackluster getting enough forward entries. You got Hawthorn who had more forward entries. They had a lot more scoring shots. 11 goals, 17 though. If you're kicking that many behinds, you're never going to win a game, obviously. They probably, I was going to say they deserve to win. You don't deserve to win if you kick it inaccurately. That's how footy works a lot of the time. But they played really well. They were just a bit gassed in the last quarter. A few of the experienced Essendon guys, even Gresham, who didn't do much the whole game, stepped up in the last quarter. You got Stringer. Of course, he plays well against a low team, and then he'll do nothing next week. Can't stand him. Essendon did look all right. But I just think Essendon fans will get a bit too excited from this game because they've won. But it's not a finals-like team if you're kicking only 17 goals, 5, very accurately, but another week, that's not going to be a massive score. So, decent win by Essendon, but I reckon Hawthorn probably should have won this one.
Yeah, so for me, what was it? It was the likes of Gunston and Lewis. kept missing, right? It was
Lewis
just
got towed up
brutal.
by Ben McKay, actually, a former North, a fullback, that I really liked at North. He was really good in his first game for Essendon. But yeah, Lewis looked off. Gunston, I think Leo, of course, on this show, said Gunston really shouldn't be getting the game. You need to get some of the younger guys in. He looks too slow and old from last year when he said he wanted to be dropped. He might get dropped again from Hawthorn, yeah.
Ginnivan was actually really good for the Hawks as well. Enjoyed that. Great. It was pretty fun. Also, it's good to see that it just, the staging for free kicks wasn't just a Collingwood thing.
That's his thing.
Bread and butter, absolute bread and butter.
Very funny that he's celebrating like Marcus Rashford, who promises the world and delivers an atlas as far as his talent is concerned. Good stuff.
The Wizard, I love him. He's tiny. He went 0-3 on his kicking, but it's like, still love him. Anyway, tough one for the Hawks, but Essendon, look, you'll take the Jakey Stringer massive game out of nowhere because it'll keep you, keep you warm at night for the rest of the season where he completely no-shows half these games. So
it's going to be great when Tom McCartan throws him into the SFS.
Actually, we didn't talk about Archie Perkins was probably best on. He had 24 touches, 12 tackles. I think it was 8 clearances. He literally did everything, Archie Perkins. I don't know if it's going to be his coming out game and he's going to absolutely dominate for the rest of the year, but that is his best game of his career by an absolute mile. And he will
Zach Reed getting injured again was not great.
Horrible. Yeah. He just had a horrible run with injuries, hasn't he?
But do we want to talk about Sicily and Redmond being absolute idiots, or do we want to say?
I'm so glad I pulled Sicily out of my SuperCoach. Oh my god, what was he doing?
Yeah, it was horrible. Flips Andy McGrath over his head and then kicks him in midair. You're obviously going to get a week, one because you're Jaymz Sicily, and two because it looked bad and the camera was 2 meters away from you. And then Mason Redmond decides just to short arm jab someone in the face. What are you doing?
I love Jaymz Sicily with the karate kick in the air. It's like Cobra, Cobra, Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai. He definitely looks like Cobra Kai, but if he also really hated Tasmania. Right, GWS 121, your beloved North Melbourne 82. Stats boy, quick one through this. GWS looked unreal.
Well, so yeah, they did look great. Obviously, kicking 120 points. I think this is going to be a bad storyline for North. I think North looked really good. I was actually pretty happy with how we played, but they're just going to concede way too many points. I think that you're going to take the over if you're a betting man over in every North game, because I think North Clarko ball, we don't want to call it the other one, looked actually really good playing through the middle. But then once we get up into our 50, if we turn it over, there's no defense on the way back. So it was a bit of a contrasting. It was a very fun game to watch because you got the tsunami of GWS all running through the middle. Then you got North just kind of come through the middle every time. So the likes of McKercher was really good. I was very excited to watch him. He didn't miss a target all game. Playing that Sheasel role off halfback, I'll get into a SuperCoach. He was really good. But then we just don't have a backline. Toby Pink in his first game looked very undersized against Jesse Hogan. 6 goals. It was amazing. Clunk and everything. His kicking action is perfect. Tom Green, Alex's meaty boy in the midfield, 37 touches. It was amazing as well. GWS looked really good, but North weren't horrible. Kicking 82 points, I think they have a really solid defense, GWS, but it's just going to be a worry about the defense coming back when they're playing through the middle. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I think we're going to kick competitive scores every week, like an 82 or above, but yeah, it's going to be tough to defend like that when all of our players are in the front half a lot of the time. So,
God bless Clarko ball, but I'll tell you what, there's watching.
It's fun.
Those the Thursday, Friday night games, and then watching Essendon and Hawthorn, and then watching GWS just have all the time in the world to do anything. It was a shock to the system, I'll tell you. It was like an ice plunge. You're like, oh God, North, what are they doing? This is gross. Get me out of here. Right, Geelong, St Kilda, talk about an ice bath as well. It was like the hottest night on record ever in Geelong, I'm pretty sure. But they finally unveiled Taxpayer Stadium in its full glory. 76 Geelong hold on to win over St Kilda 68, thanks to the aforementioned Dangerfield game winner. The people getting antsy about standing room at a footy ground. I'm like,
I thought it was cool, yeah.
Have you been to footy?
Yeah.
Ever?
Have a few beers. It's perfect.
The MCC literally has a standing room only.
Exactly.
I was here for it, but this game was nuts. It was awesome.
No one could kick straight. It was great.
Yeah, I know. It was a classic round one game where there's all spraying everywhere.
Didn't want to put my foot through the TV once. It
was quite literally. It was none of the things I just said until the last 8 minutes. It was absolute chaos.
True.
It was just an absolute sleeper, and then it was chaos, and the same thing happened in Gold Coast, Adelaide. So it was really, really fun. I think just sort of seeing Geelong just not being able to kick straight at all. You had Ollie Henry missing everything. I mean, they've got 74 dudes named Ollie on that team, and you think one of them can kick straight, and one of them could. It was Dempsey, wasn't it?
Dempsey was great. That's his breakout game. Yeah.
Happy to see. I mean, he's got the head. Speaking of Cobra Kai, that dude looks like he's on Cobra Kai, and it was a chaos game. It was a fun game, and it all sort of came down to St Kilda just going, wait a minute, what's that thing you meant to do? Score. Right.
Yeah, tell that to Ben, what's his name? Max King. Bloody hell. 2 goals. 4.
How many minutes have we got until we need to actually go home? I think we've got just enough time to win this. That game's so bloody close as well. Everybody in Geelong was absolutely packing it. My favourite part of this game early on was the mum and the son. And the son was in tears.
Yeah,
remember caring about things?
Yeah.
Jeez, that was great. And the mum sitting there going, she's a cat supporter. She's like, this is awesome. Meanwhile, the poor little dude sitting there with the big S carved in the side of his noggin. And she's like, look at this idiot. I'm like, Geelong has never been beaten. Undefeated. Never lost. Anyway, crazy game, fun game. Saints, they just did their thing, right? Like, to break it down, to speed this up, Geelong, wayward in front of goal, should have smashed this out of the park, especially at home.
Yeah.
Saints choked the life out of him in the second half, came flying back out of nowhere. Higgins had a couple of shockers, stuff like that, and then they sort of just put it all together right at the end, but couldn't quite get the stop, the Dangerfield game winner, and away you went. So good stuff by Geelong.
We'll win 12 games this year, and we'll just be like, cool.
Yep. Gold Coast Adelaide in horrible conditions up there on the Gold Coast, 60-54. This game was, talk about sleepwalks, this was over, and then it wasn't. Adelaide came from the clouds just to have a bit of a crack, and it was awesome to sort of see them just go, again, what are we meant to do? Kick through the big ones.
Knowing me for my bloody tip, I think I was the only one that tipped Adelaide, and I think it was 5-1 in the last quarter when they only kicked 3 up until 3-quarter time. Just kick a couple more goals early, lads. Come on.
Once again, like Adelaide last year when they lost to Sydney, don't fall 44 points behind.
That's true. They leave it late a lot, don't they?
The game starts at 8 o'clock, not 10:30. Absolutely not a night for the big boys. As we said last week, best of Gold Coast and worst of Gold Coast at the same time. These fade out are not good. Against a very good team, they're going to put 10 goals on them in a quarter, and it's just going to be horrible. I just think the teams, so this comes back to the teams who played in round 0, playing against teams who hadn't played. Gold Coast got up and running early. The Crows looked super rusty, and then it took Rankin and Rochelle to get in the game in the second half. Like, should have fantastic been earlier, going, classy, fit, fast, everything you need, excitement for Crows fans. But you look at, as we said in our sort of season previews, Crouch, Laird and Dawson had 89 possessions between them. And you're just like, oh, yeah.
Crouch is, if your name's Crouch, you got a lot of empty possessions, though. There's a lot of
St Kilda Crouch was way worse than Adelaide Crouch.
That's true.
They didn't do any damage until like the last 15 minutes. Matty Rao, Stats Guy's favourite bloke, 29 touches and a crap ton of clearances.
He got the most bets ever on a Brown, though, I think, over this week in one of the betting companies, because everyone's jumped on him. I don't know what his price is now, but everyone's on him early. He always starts well early, though.
Sydney, personally. But I think he's trying to grow a gym beard, because ever since he's got the fluff, he's got superpowers.
Yeah.
Also, Noah Anderson, 630 metres gained and 35 touches in the wet. That was ridiculously amazing. And let's be honest, the best part of this game was Witsy copying the Falcon.
Oh, that was so fun. That was not even a little doink. It was a massive just doink. Bang.
It was brutal. Like, it would have stung. Not good. But Suns couldn't have asked for anything.
Stung? The dude's got Sharon tattooed across his forehead now.
Yeah.
It's like, what is N? We're just going to start spelling Sharon backwards. Everyone just staring at the top of his forehead going, what's going on with your bonds, Witsy?
Yeah. I love it. He's got the stitching mark right in the middle of his forehead, Harry Potter. But Gold Coast 2-0. They now have to go to Ballarat next week and play the Dogs. That's awkward.
Road trip, boys. Let's go.
Yeah. And then Adelaide take on Geelong, which is pretty interesting as well.
I love it. I do love that Richelli and Isaac Renkine just turned into mini-me's of Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow out of nowhere. I love it. It's just this is great, because the big dudes couldn't do much. It was all your mids, right? It was all Malcolm Roses and Ben Keys and stuff. And
if you didn't see the game, it was raining sideways.
It was
for the last 3 quarters.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that you get reminded every so often. It's like, why don't we all just live in the Gold Coast, man? You're like, oh,
That's
yes.
right.
There's a wet season.
Yeah.
Sunday, today, we had Melbourne 109 Demolisher at the Dogs. Dogs got us to a fly as well, 109-64. It was a bit of a weird one. They sort of came flying out of nowhere. The Dogs looked awesome and then just stopped dead because Melbourne just gave them the old clamps and go to sleep, and that's it. So take us through. Who wrote up this one? I
wrote a few notes on this one. Did you write about the crowd, Alex? I was going to talk about that as well. Melbourne supporters. So I've been in MCC a lot. I've said this for years. They don't turn up. They've got a big fan base. You see all the lists of. They never turn up, even though they're having a really good period. Obviously, we're really bad a lot of my life, but they never turn up. 44,000. Bulldogs obviously don't have a massive fan base, but as Melbourne, surely first home game of the year, pretty bad by them.
Bulldogs, also game at the MCG. They rarely play here. Today, for those who aren't in Melbourne, was literally a perfect day in Melbourne. It was beautiful. 28. Great day to go to the footy. You know, chug back a few beers, have a good time. Game's at 1 o'clock. You're home by 4:30. How good is life? But only 44,000 seems ridiculously low.
Yeah, it was. Not great.
You're on stuck in Irish pubs around the city. It's like, but to be honest, like that's a really good point. Like the 1 p.m. start is awesome because you'd be at the pub from 8 a.m. Yep. You can knock over all your St. Paddy's Day duties and away. You get to the game by 1 and it's all over by 6 o'clock. It's the perfect day. I love that. But this one was weird, right? Because you had Trark, you had Bont, and Bont, it felt like, I don't know, Libba had a massive, massive day and so did Treloar, right? And it just didn't feel like the clash of the two big dudes as much as it did just the other guys. And when you have a clash of the other guys, it feels like, Melbourne probably should win that. A bit just because you've got like enough, like the Cade Chandlers of the world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When they get going, God, Melbourne are basically impossible to beat. And as I said at the top, right? Like
kicking goals. Like it was weird.
Yeah, 3 goals. Yeah. It was a weird game. You got Billings as well. He was the sub, so everyone took him out of their SuperCoach. And then he killed it this week. 24 touches, few clearances, I think almost 10 tackles, I'm pretty sure as well. He was awesome. Billings. I think a lot of these guys are going to add to that Melbourne depth and we're going to be like, oh, they actually have a bit of depth here, Melbourne. Not on the goal scoring end, as we've talked about a lot of times, but they did get 109 points this week because the likes of Chandler that you just mentioned, he's not going to kick 3 goals every week. But there's a bit of depth there that Melbourne didn't have last year.
He'll kick 1
each
week. That's
Ben Roy, 3 goals from 6 possessions, perfect forwards game.
Yep. That's what
because he picked handball. Because he being back obviously changed just the complexion of their entire front half. And you're like, as soon as they sort of got into a bit of a roll, it was just, this game was sort of done, right? And you never
close. Then they smashed them. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it was the weirdest part of it. I think you just sort of like, right, once you sort of get rolling, they sort of just kept it there and just went, see ya, we're done. Like pack it up,
8 goals to 3 after half time. It's just
crazy.
The Western Bulldogs, they're honestly the most confusing team and will continue to be all year. I still don't, unless Riley Sanders was injured, I have no idea why Bevo subbed him.
He was going all right. He was going all right.
Was playing well, but I'm of the theory that Luke Beveridge is not a good coach.
Yeah, I think
he makes it up as he goes along. He's fluked a premiership with a great list, and they just hit a magical Leicester City-esque run.
Yeah,
I'm starting to believe he is a very average coach.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys that are just inconsistent.
Won the premiership. A lot of dudes.
I still reckon he could beat you in a fight. So.
He's a big man. He's a big. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near.
Can I use Tom Morris as a distraction?
I mean, you can do a lot of whatever you want, so that's fine. There you go.
How good was Clary?
35 touches. Who needs a preseason, lads? He's just ran straight in.
He had a big cuddle as well off to the side, which is nice to see. And look, I think the redemption story is there. We all love an underdog. So the problem is, if the Demons fans aren't going to rock up, then they can blow it out their nose. Right, Port 120, West Coast 70. Should have been way more. There was a club franchise record set for points kicked in a game in this one by Port.
24. I saw it. I forgot it was that
So
high.
if you'd bet on any sort of goal kicker, I don't know, things, you'd be a bit angry. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me either. But this wasn't great. Let's be real. If you've watched this game, it wasn't great. No. Port kicked away to win by 50, but it could have been 100. I don't know. The goal kicking was horrendous. It was sloppy, given a lot of rust. I think we saw how West Coast are going to play. They're just going to try and take the game on and run and gun it through the midfield. I suppose the important thing is, given no one's ever mentioned this kid's name, have you heard of this guy, Harley Reid?
No.
It was Yeah, he's all right.
He looks like he may play this game of Australian rules football quite well. So
I heard your mate, though, Sam McClure, say that he'd never go west. So I don't know. Like, I'm just confused. What's he doing out west?
Don't know.
He just ended up there.
Probably should have asked Sam McClure yesterday when I saw him at Caulfield, but I was too busy walking in the other direction.
Look at this name dropper. Look at him go.
Anyway, Rosie and Butters, though, they've picked up where they left off. They were fantastic. Like 27
one of the best duos in the comp.
3 goals between them. Just ran out the game brilliantly, and they've blown out the cobwebs before, bigger and better things in the next couple of weeks.
3 goals, 0 as well between them. It wasn't their fault. Inaccurate kicking. Yep.
Absolutely, my favourite part is that Rosie and Butters throughout the last season just went, wait a minute, we should also kick goals. And
it's great.
It makes Port wildly damaging.
Perfect midfield.
And when you say like one of the best duos in the comp, it's like they're top 3. Like it's simple as that.
So. Just trying to think off the top of my head. We might have to do the segment on that on Wednesday, maybe best duos.
It's a Wednesday one, write that up. Either way, look, West Coast, God bless their cotton socks, but they're not good.
Try.
Oscar Allen breaking hearts out there. He's meant to be Oscar Allen 2+, not Oscar Allen 0-3.
Oh, no.
Killing me.
16,
anyway.
13 behinds between Finlayson, Bergman, Marshall, and Oscar Allen for no goals.
That's crazy.
Wasn't a great afternoon for someone who needed Todd Marshall kick 2 goals.
All right, anyway. West Coast will win games this year. And then the final game of the round, we had the Fremantle Dockers pull off a shocker and beat the Brisbane Lions, meaning the Lions and the Pies, the 2 grand finalists from last year, 0-2 to start the season.
How often would that happen?
Went nuts. This is an absolutely sort of chaotic sort of result where Freo, you knew they're always going to be vaguely tough out west, but you look at someone like the Lions, we know that they're away from the Gab, but they're not, the world's greatest shop, but you still figured they'd be smarting pretty badly after last week, even without Lachie Neale. You think they should be okay. And they were absolutely flying in this game. Absolutely flying. We were basically like, right, we can start the show at halftime, boys. What are we doing? And then Freo just came back into it and went, cool.
Demolished them after the first.
And they've won the game by 4 goals, which is wild. I'm thinking it might be possible if Caleb Sarong, C. Sarong, and Sarong, Caleb may get all 6 votes from this game, given he had 46 possessions.
46. Oh my god, what a weapon!
Just 46 touches, just nice and easy.
C. Sarong, Sarah, whatever he does, he is just smashing it. It was awesome. He had 25 by the half. In terms of the goal kickers, you had Jaymz who banged his knee on the goalpost at one point. We're like, did he just do his knee up against the goalpost? What is going on? Yeah. But he came back out and kicked like another 2. It was very cool. So, Josh Tracy, he kicked 3-2. And
it surprised me.
When I say 3 times, I mean he kicked 3 as well. And the Lions, like very late, Joe Danaher got going. That's cool. Hipwood had 3 goals as well. The weirdest part was there was like very little Chucky Cameron. It was nothing. Like
2 weeks in a row.
McCarthy had a goal, but it was just a bit of a letdown, right? To get to 70 points with this just absolute chaos, awesome offensive weaponry they've got up, but there's just something a little bit missing, right? Like defensively, they seem a bit suspect. They've given up 93 to Freo after giving up 86 to Carlton last week at home.
Darcy Gardner did go off early as well, so that doesn't help.
That didn't help, but I think their midfield is a little bit their worry. They the main clearance guy obviously for them is Lachie Neale. But Lachie Neale not playing, I would have still thought that their midfield would be fine, but it clearly wasn't. I just had a look at the clearance numbers. They got smashed in there. Sarong obviously killed it. Brayshaw killed it. Yeah, it was a bit. They don't look like themselves at all. Same as Collingwood. It's just a weird.
They've got the injury bug already.
And the injury bug that they didn't have last year.
No duty. Gardner's gone down. Will Ashcroft's still out. Kitty Coleman last week. There's 5 of their best 22 that are not playing like in round 2 or round 1.
Now, we do tend to see like one grand finalist drop off dramatically from year on year.
Yep.
Could this be the Lions where it all just falls apart out of absolutely nowhere? Like it's very feasible, but they've just still got so much talent that it seems pretty tough. So
I think they'll be all right.
Good win by Freo. Happy days, you'll take that. So tipping results. I think I've gone 6. Stats guy's gone 6. Alex went 7. I don't know what Leo did. He's not here. Who cares? But full credit to the boys. This is the Sunday night segment we all love. Full credit to the boys. Yeah. Who was the best team you saw this weekend, gentlemen? Mine was a tie between my beloved Blues, just pulling that absolutely out of nowhere. A game they probably should have lost 87 different times and then also should have put away but failed to dramatically. Thanks a lot, Charlie Curnow, with that Hey Shoring. But the way they actually managed to pull it out, I thought was pretty gnarly because they've got the bye now. Like to actually win that game is massive. And GWS, look, they beat North, but I think just the sheer the way that they can just flex on a team and go, we have all the time in the world.
120 points like that as well. Yeah.
It looked like they barely got out of third gear, right? That was kind of the scariest part for GWS. Hogan's kicking absolutely everything. There you go. That was my favourite two teams of the weekend. Alex?
No shock to the Swans. You go to the MCG and beat Collingwood at their first home game of the year and absolutely smash them. For your first win at the MCG since 2022, it's got to be that.
Nice.
Pretty simple.
Stats boy?
I'll go Melbourne. I think a lot of people tip the Dogs, and Melbourne just go, 45 points. We were crap last week. I tipped Melbourne as well, but a few people, would have on this podcast might have tipped the Dogs. But Melbourne looked really good. As I mentioned, they didn't rely. Gorm was amazing, but they didn't rely the whole game on their big names, which that didn't happen a lot last year. So the likes of Chandler, the likes of who did I mention before, Billings was really good. Even some of the younger guys, Windsor. So I think their depth is. People thought in the offseason their depth might have lost, but I think they look all right, their depth.
Nice one. All right. Best on ground of the week. That's right. Who was the best on ground of the week? Best player performances, Harry Mackay. Just kicking straight. God damn, I love every moment of it.
He's going to put him in there every week. Is this every week?
Seriously, the cool stat was it he's kicked the last 4 goals that he's kicked have either giving Carlton the lead or it's basically either tied or giving them the lead, which is awesome. Yep. So Tom Green, 2 votes because he's just a machine. And speaking of machine, 1 vote, the Heen machine, because God, he was good on the weekend for the Swans. Yep. Liam.
Yeah, I'll go Chunley. I know we're all talking up Warner. Sorry, that is Warner. We're all talking up Heaney. He was awesome, the Heen machine, but I'll go a bit different. Chad Warner, I think, at the heat of the game when it was actually a little bit close, he was absolutely dominating. In the first 2 weeks, I think he will be right up there in the Brownlow as well. 2 votes, Jesse Hogan. I know it was against the poor North backline, but he looks in the best touch in his career. I know everyone's talking about him in that, but he was amazing. 6 goals. 1 vote, Max Gawn. I'm so glad I kept him in SuperCoach. I told you, Alex, not to trade him, I reckon, during the week.
I didn't trade him. I just didn't pick him.
Didn't pick him, sorry. But, yeah, he was amazing. He was everywhere. When Max Gawn's at the G, just roaming around, he's in the back line. He's in the forward line. He's on the wing. He's awesome to watch. So, yeah, 1 vote for him.
Yeah.
Nice one. Alex?
Isaac Heaney, 3, Chad Warner, 2, and Clayton Oliver, 1. Reasons outlined for the above, but I thought Clary off really short of a gallop. He was good last week. He was even better today, so go there. We also need to figure out who gets the 3, 2, and 1 overall for this week.
We probably should just do a 3, 2, 1.
We can't give out 20 votes a week.
Yeah,
I think we can. That's right. We've got a stats guy. That's how it works. Oh, mate, no mates. Who's got no mates this week? Ever see a guy say goodbye to a shoe?
Yes, one time.
Bloody Brian Myers.
But seriously, who throws a shoe? Honestly. Brian Myers throwing Ron Marshall's shoe was great. It's like, somebody could step on it. It's like, also, you're being a giant pee-hole. Come on, man.
Very small jerk.
Like, you can throw it out of the way, maybe across the boundary. You didn't have to throw it across the other side of the 50, so that was a bit rude.
This is not the behaviour I expect from Lionel Messi. I'm sorry. Won't somebody please think of the children? But to be honest, he was lucky not to have a free against him because we've seen that actually happen before. The other sort of the old mate, no mates, though, like John Newcomb did get shouted out by my man Ben Dixon for having the roughest head in the club for getting hit in it, which is pretty funny. But obviously, old mate, no mates, Ash Johnson for his performance on the field, just getting dragged. Like he's got old mate, no mates
as well. Which
this is the problem. Then he then becomes actual old mate, no mates, and absolutely got slammed online by a bunch of mouth breathing morons. So
shut up,
social media accounts, the poor bugger.
Yeah, that's not fair at all.
Fair enough, he played badly, but no need.
He's trying. It's not like he's going out there going, "I want to play bad in front of all my Collingwood fans."
Yeah, you can criticise an athlete's performance for not being up to the standard, but then when you go
their character or anything like that,
or whatever, no. He had a horrendous game 2 weeks in a row, unfortunately. He's going to go back to the VFL. Hopefully he comes back better because he has talent. He's just been terrible.
Yeah, spot on.
I think the biggest thing for that sort of stuff is you hear, athletes talking about the abuse that they cop, mental health problems, that sort of stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And this sort of still happens. You're like, dudes, just
horrible.
Pull your heads in. Come on. It's not, this isn't rocket surgery sometimes. But obviously the big one for me is like, obviously old mate, no mates, Witsy with the Falcon. Like as soon as that happens, you'll be like, oh man, that's going to be in every highlight package this week. God damn. But really it's just injuries again, back to back. So my point for a lot of this is literally going to lead into my point and why I can't stand. But old mate, no mates, like Gibcus, that is just such a brutal injury for that dude who struggled really so much. Well.
Oscar McDonald's probably done his knee by the looks of it for Freo in his first game for him.
But yeah, that's where it is. So Anyway, I'll talk about that more and why I can't stand very quickly. But anyway, you got an old mate, no mates there, Alex.
Yeah, mine's Jaymz Sicily. He's one of Hawthorn's most important players, if not the most important player. And
I was going to put him in there as well.
Something really dumb in the first game of the season. Like, that's not what you expect nor need out of your captain in the first game of the year when you've already been hit by injuries to lose your best player for round 2 or most important. It's not good. It's genuinely not what Hawthorn need. So I'd be go sit in the corner.
Yep. Captain Courageous. Why I can't stand injuries. Oh, I hate early season injuries. Doesn't matter what sport it is as well. Like, obviously, you gentlemen know that I'm big when it comes to big on my NBA and NFL, obviously.
Oh, really?
But NFL, as soon as we've sort of it happens each year, right? Like the NFL season, you have the 4 week of preseason, and then you got your actual games. And they've gotten to the point where they just don't risk anybody in preseason because they get hurt. And then now in the actual season, they still get hurt. It's just in a game that matters, right? And it feels like AFL, this happens each year, right? It's the first couple of weeks, it sucks. It just sucks. It's inevitable, but it sucks. Like Gota seemingly tearing his Achilles was brutal. He just
stepped up. It was weird. That was weird.
That was horrible. So, but yeah, we just saw a bunch in the Freo Brisbane as well. Gibcus, Zach Reed. It's just, come on, man. What are we doing here? Anyway, can't stand injuries. It might be a little bit of low-hanging fruit, but it's also the time of year for it where you're like, oh, come on, not this guy. You just you do one thing, and it's just like, what is happening? So even Prestia, the meatball, it sucks.
That's more, it's happened so often as soft tissues. Like when it's like knees or ankles, I get it. But when you keep breaking down soft tissue-wise, it's like, dude, you're old, retire. Like it's an old man injury when you continuously do them.
It's tough, though. All right, Alex.
Firstly, commentary teams not being at the ground. I absolutely hate teams calling out a little studio in Docklands because sometimes it looks like it's going to be. Wait, nope, can't see it.
Awkward,
can't It just sounds awkward, but then also it's the things that you hear from commentary teams when they're on the ground and they can see the whole space of play. So if someone gets the ball on the other side of the ground, switches on here, they've got 5 blokes free on the other wing. You might not be able to see that when you're in the TV studio. Get them to the ground. We're paying $5 billion for TV rights. Send them to the bloody ground. It's not too hard. The other one, AFL media saying, the Swans love being on the massive ground of the MCG compared to the SCG. The SCG is only 2.5 meters smaller from the center circle to the goal. So 5 meters difference, nothing. It's it's ridiculous. And then finally, Collingwood fans complaining that we have no home games until round 6. Anyone want to take a guess where they play this Thursday?
I'm going to say Launceston.
Don't think they've ever gone to Tasmania.
Wembley Stadium?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're going to go to Wembley. No, they're at the MCG for one of their 14 games this year with 3 more at Marvel. So 17 of 23 in Melbourne this year. Very hard on Collingwood.
Yeah. It's just so tough being a Pies fan. And Stats Boy, what can't you stand this week?
Just quickly, we already talked about him, but the Dogs losing by 45 points. A lot of my family goes for them. If I'm a Dog supporter, I'll just be so disappointed. If you're going to lose to Melbourne at the G, all right. But they're just such a disappointing club at the moment. The way they're going, I just can't.
McAllion's going to punch you in the face.
He'll probably agree with me. He was at the game. I think a lot of Dogs supporters would agree with me. They've got a great list, as Alex was talking about before. They should be a lot more successful than they are. No way should they be losing by 45 points to any team in the comp, the way their list is going. So they just annoy me because at full pelt, they're really fun to watch. And then they just serve up crap in the last quarter today. So
I blame their coach.
And I can't stand him as well.
Nice one. All right. Can't stand that. That's so brutal coming from a North supporter. Like, geez.
No, we're crap, but I'm saying the potential. We don't have the potential to be good. Bulldogs.
As a North fan, you can see the light, whereas as a Western Bulldogs fan, you're like,
just in the middle,
have a top 4 list and we can't make finals.
All right. The wash from SuperCoach this week, as mentioned, Gornicus, Maximus Gornicus is back. I may have actually tipped that one either on our show or on the actual SuperCoach show. It's like, you can't just not back him to go for 160, and that's exactly what he did. So love that. I love that Tom Green is crushing it. He was like the dude who just never left my side preseason. Haney's the obvious forward bolter. The fact is, like, they're playing, as Alex has alluded to, they're playing a lot in the middle. Obviously, they have to. And
he's got
it's
awesome this week.
They're going to smash that. Flanders and Cheezel. Also delivering the good. Two of my favourites, obviously, this off-season, I was like, Sheasel was like locked into my back line as well.
Yep,
I love Sheasel. Unfortunately, Warlord hasn't really backed me up in that first one. But
we've got too many sort of guys. He's more an impact player than big Supercoach scores, I reckon.
And Flanders obviously has been crushing out the front, so enjoying that one. You actually mentioned McKercher there, Stats Boy.
Yeah, the perfect rookie. We had 88 points, which is awesome. When you're only projected as a rookie to get 30 or 40, he's doing the perfect rookie, 200K, which obviously is a bit more expensive for a rookie, but he's playing that Sheasel role last year where he's pretty much going to be guaranteed for 75 to his ceiling's pretty high, over 100 he can get. Takes the kickouts for North, and he's just every switch we did on the weekend went through McKercher because he's lovely left boot. First game just looked really impressive and calm, so he's perfect for Supercoach.
Nice one. Stupid Sexy Flanders popping out 128 is also just incredible.
Awesome. Timmer was right.
In the wet. The same thing also goes for one of my absolute favourites that I traded him out, brought him back in, Noah Anderson. Rips off the 129, looked incredible, so really happy with that. And I think Alex wanted to just mention Danger.
Yeah, Danger ripped off a 134 first round of the season, just went bang. And also, Luke Ryan has just ripped off 160 plus for Fremantle.
Ooh, that's
Sarong must have. I haven't got Sarong's numbers in front of me, but that could be a 200.
I'll have a quick look. We got AFL matches.
Nice one.
Yeah,
I also love
170. 170. Sarong, that's huge. Biggest score of the year, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yes,
has to be probably 170. Yeah.
All right, the big question is Danger back to his Adelaide pomp for Supercoach? Bang, off he goes. I love it.
He's the main guy. Also Nat Fife, just for Leo, who said he was the worst pick of our draft, 101.
Thanks, 103. He's just got scaled up to 103. Even better.
All right, there you go. That is AFL Today, the Sunday wrap show for round 1. What a round it was. Yeah. The cool thing is it's only going to be up from here as everyone actually sort of figures out how to play footy again. So thanks once more to AFL Today denizens Alex Donnelly and Liam McAllion, the stats guy. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
And look at it being unbeaten.
Yeah. I think I sent through the LeBron meme in the pool. Couldn't be me. I love it. 2-0. But remember to smash a like for AFL Today's show across all the socials. You can see us doing fun stuff, dumb stuff in the office, behind the scenes, whatever, and just random other stuff that we're going to do. So check it out on Facey IG, Threads, TikTok, and of course YouTube. You can watch all this good stuff too. Subscribe, star, and like all our shows on your podcast apps. The Cricket Today podcast, the Football Today podcast, NBA Australia, NFL Australia, and of course this one. Get around them like Tony Plugger Lockett, probably like on a greyhound at the fourth race, dog number 6. He'll be all over that, trust me. Dapko? Yep. Yes. Love the old Dapto dogs. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll catch you later this week on Wednesday for more AFL Today show. Until then, look after yourselves and remember, footy's back.